The Centers for Disease Control says it's lifting restrictions on testing and beginning to fast-track people who fear they have the coronavirus. What is Arlington doing to prepare its residents from this outbreak? Brenda Mahoney has a report on this rapidly evolving story. Super Tuesday is now in the rearview mirror. What's next for the remaining candidates? And who did you vote for in the Massachusetts primary? We have the latest from Town Hall, where passions were running high. One of ACMi's own is recognized for supporting area artists and for her outstanding fundraising efforts. The Artful Heart Gallery receives the award for Community Business of the Year, and you just may know who the owner is. And what does it take to own a professional football team? Well, apparently abuse from the press, a con man, a media mogul, a kidnapping victim, and a TV reporter who talks people down from bridges. Do you think we're kidding?
From McLennan Park to Spy Pond, from Poets Corner to the Mystic River, we have Arlington covered. We're your neighbors, a friend you can turn to. This is ACMi News.
The town is making preparations for the possible spread of coronavirus here in this area. Hello, I'm Katie Chang.
And I'm James Milan. A dozen people who traveled from mainland China were recently monitored. Tonight, we're told none has symptoms of the virus. Still, uncertainty can breed fear. So here's Brenda Mahoney with some answers on how Arlington is confronting the coronavirus.
The Arlington Health Department monitoring 4 people who've traveled from mainland China who are under self-quarantine. That's down from a dozen a couple of weeks ago, none showing symptoms of the new coronavirus.
The public health nurse will follow up with those individuals and check in with them a couple of times a day to make sure that they're checking their temperature and reporting any symptoms. If those individuals were to develop any kind of symptoms, we would then be contacting the Mass Department of Public Health and having that individual or those individuals contact their doctors.
On this beautiful day, the first week in March here in Arlington, it's hard to imagine that coronavirus could come here. But the local Board of Health is watching out for Arlington residents. They're preparing for any scenario just in case, including the possibility of community spread. That's where it could be spread coronavirus from person to person. They're working with the schools, they're working with the fire department and the police department. They have the power to close schools or cancel activities. It's something they wouldn't want to have to do, but are considering it just in case.
What we're telling everybody, whether it be town officials, school, our first responders, is to come up with a plan for continued operations because we may have disruption. Would there be a point where we might need to have some closures? Maybe.
It's fine with me. I think it's adequate. My feeling is this is going to spread all over the country almost regardless of what we do.
They're running through scenarios, that's good. I'm glad that they're doing that just to make sure that we're protected.
I would say a town even as small as Arlington needs to be even more prepared, since it's clear that we can't necessarily rely on what you would have thought were tried and true national resources on this front.
Arlington Public Schools taking precautions with extra cleaning and relying on people to self-report international travel from affected countries. As people look to protect themselves, wiping out shelves of cleaners and other supplies, local health officials say you may want to plan to set up a separate room in your home in which to care for a family member if they are sickened by COVID-19.
Do you maybe have an extra room or an extra bathroom that people that are ill could be utilizing, whereas the people that are healthy could be using the other rooms and the other bathroom? That's the type of preparation that we're looking for people to think about.
Officials stress this is an evolving situation and urge folks to stay tuned to the town's website and make sure you're signed up for those text, voice, and email alerts. Brenda Mahoney, ACMi News.
The health department is also working with the schools to review future class trips abroad, including an exchange of Japanese students from Arlington's sister city of Nagaokakyo next month.
Super Tuesday 2020 is now one for the history books, and unlike most of the Bay State, Joe Biden was not the favorite among Arlington voters.
With all precincts reporting, Elizabeth Warren finished first in Arlington with just over 7,000 votes. Joe Biden came in second with nearly 4,800 votes, and Bernie Sanders finished third with a little under 4,000 votes. But this week, after a poor Super Tuesday showing, Elizabeth Warren has pulled the plug on her campaign, ending her race for the Democratic nomination for president. Not surprisingly, on Super Tuesday, spirits were running high in Arlington. We found one Bernie Sanders supporter waving a banner proudly at Mass Ave and Mystic Street on Super Tuesday Eve. Of course, for weeks now, you could see the vote sign on the front lawn of Arlington High School encouraging residents to perform their civic duty.
ACMi News Director Jeff Barnd talked to some Arlington voters to get their take on why passions are running high in this year's presidential race.
Super Tuesday made a great deal of headlines nationwide and, of course, right here in Massachusetts, as the Bay State joins 13 other states in America Samoa in the Super Tuesday election. The presidential candidates, of course, are trying to grab as many delegates as possible before that all-important Democratic convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin this summer. The magic number to reach delegate-wise is 1,991. Now here in Arlington, 21 polling places were open, including right here at Town Hall between the hours of 7 in the morning and 8 at night.
I think we're at a turning point in our civic discourse and in what direction we want the country to go in the future. And so the election is incredibly important, but all elections are really important in my opinion.
I thought the last, not the last election, but I thought, the elections with Bush was going to be, the most horrendous. But this guy is just, what he's doing, he's going to eliminate democracy. He's a tyrant, and he's got to be taken out of office. And that's what I'm doing.
Any idea who you voted for? You don't have to tell me if you don't want to.
Well, you know what? I like Elizabeth Warren.
I don't want Trump for another term. That's all there is to it.
Can you tell us who you voted for? You don't have to say if you don't want to.
Biden.
Why?
I think he might be the best candidate to beat Trump.
I voted for Trump.
And why is that?
Because he's got everything going. The country's in good shape right now.
The Democratic convention will be held from July 13th through the 16th. The GOP convention will be held August the 24th through the 27th. Of course, the general election this year is November the 3rd. For ACMi News, I'm Jeff Barnd.
2 men are arrested in Arlington after police say they tried selling drugs to an undercover cop on Friday morning, February 28th. Police say 45-year-old Michael Brown of Dedham and 36-year-old Theodore Babbitt of Somerville set up a meeting with what turned out to be 2 undercover police officers. It happened along Gardner Street. Police say the 2 drove to an apartment and met up with the undercover officers. Police found nearly 2 grams of methamphetamine on Brown, and he faces drug charges, including possession with intent to distribute. He also has a felony arrest warrant from West Roxbury District Court on larceny charges. Meantime, Babbitt's charged with conspiracy to violate drug law. Police say he also had a warrant for his arrest on drug and motor vehicle violations. And the Arlington Chamber of Commerce is honoring one of ACMi's own, and we couldn't be happier. Carla Dorado, who has often sat in that chair and is the owner of the Artful Heart Gallery on Medford Street, was given the award for Community Business of the Year right here in Arlington. Carla's work was recognized because of her constant support for area artists and her outstanding efforts in hosting numerous fundraisers throughout the year. You may have seen our past coverage of Carla's tireless work supporting a local area safe house for women in danger.
Oh, you know what? It's actually very sweet, but I don't do it alone. I have a lot of help. My kids work here. I've got a lot of people from the town that work here. So we are honored. We feel wonderful. This job or this shop isn't someplace that you're ever going to get rich from, but it gives you an opportunity to reach out, and you can reach a lot of people. I mean, we collected, over 2,000 diapers last year for women in shelters, and it gives you a lot of opportunity to just reach out and help artists to connect with people, and it gives people also a place to come in and connect. I mean, I think stores like this are just really, really important to have in town centers. They're like a touchstone for a lot of people who don't have anyone else. So, I mean, it's not just a shop where you go and buy pretty things. It has a lot of purposes, I think, in towns like this.
Well, congratulations, and we miss you on the anchor desk. We're looking very much forward to having you back on ACMi News.
Oh, and I can't wait to come back either.
The Chamber of Commerce is also honoring Leader Bank as its Business of the Year, and there are 2 Citizens of the Year. But how about our Carla? Congrats to all recipients. All will receive their awards at a dinner celebration on March 24th at Town Hall. If you'd like to attend, just go to the Chamber's website, arlcc.org.
Would you believe that in less than a month, will be enjoying the first day of spring. The daffodils and crocuses are beginning to pop through the cold Arlington soil to show their colorful faces.
And we all begin to feel like Julie Andrews dancing on the mountaintop in The Sound of Music. Well, maybe not that extreme, but as ACMi News intern Bainey Wong found out, there's more than a little pep in everyone's step knowing that warm weather is within reach.
Spring is almost here. Mark your calendar on Thursday, March 19th, which is the start date of spring 2020. We ask residents if they're looking forward to the new season or wish for another snow day before spring officially arrives.
Oh, I love spring. I love all the flowers coming out. So this warm day is gorgeous. Yeah, I love the snow melting. Can't wait.
It is beautiful outside today. I got to ride my bike to work with the dog. I would like to have a longer winter with more snow. No. But I'm also we're enjoying this day. Yes. It's beautiful out. So yeah, keep the sun out for us, please.
So I'm not as excited about spring coming. I feel like we didn't really have a really good winter, which is always nice. I love when it does get to be this point, but it's kind of weird having all this nice warm weather right now.
I am looking forward to spring, yeah. And although this weather is a little disconcerting because it's so warm so early. But to feel the sun and to feel a little hint of spring, it really makes me happy.
I think it's going to be nice. Today's been a lot nicer than the rest of it. I think we're preparing by getting shorts back.
Unpacking things.
Yeah, unpacking all the stuff that you only use during those. Again. We've opened the windows for the first time in 3 months.
Opening windows.
So I think it's just getting ready for the season, getting clothes, everything, all that stuff out. So.
And enjoying the nice weather.
Yeah, that's what we're out for right now.
Reporting for ACMi News, I'm Bainey Wong.
Did you know that we have a neighbor who once was the general manager of the New England Patriots in the early 70s and part owner of the professional football team?
The team was not in the NFL. Nope. Upton Bell was the owner of the long-defunct Charlotte Hornets of the World Football League, a short-lived league that played one full season in 1974 and half of the 1975 season. But man, it was an exciting time. This story has an unlikely cast of characters, from a world-renowned TV mogul to a world-class con man, a cantankerous sports announcer, an immortal pro golfer, and hey, what story would be complete without a world-famous kidnapping victim? The Charlotte Hornets football team was also a financial nightmare, but Upton Bell tells our news director, Jeff Barnt, he wouldn't change 1 minute of it.
Hello. My name's Forrest Gump.
Some people think that I'm the real Forrest Gump because his was not real. Mine were real.
In 1974, Upton Bell had just left as general manager of the New England Patriots when he was approached by Bob Schmertz, who owned the New York Stars of the new but financially strapped World Football League. Schmertz knew that Upton Bell knew the right people who could save his football franchise, already awash in a sea of red ink. For 13 years, Upton Bell's father was NFL Commissioner Bert Bell, a sports legend in his own right. And if anyone could right the ship in New York, it was Upton Bell.
I said, okay, let's set up a meeting. I had a meeting with Schmertz and then kind of tentatively agreed to take the team over, but I wasn't going to keep it in New York. The reason is years earlier, in my scouting trips, had gone through Charlotte, North Carolina and took a look at it, and I said, you know what, this is a very fertile area. Someday the NFL is going to come in here. I said that 30 years before it happened. So with that said, I called Babe Perilli, who is the coach there, former Patriots player, New York Jets backup to name it. I said, meet me tomorrow, we're going to a press conference and we're getting on a plane and going to Charlotte and announce it. And I thought, I can just imagine somebody said that to you. The next day, I couldn't believe it. Like 100 press showed up for a team that nobody gave a damn about. But in New York, as you know, everything is big. So in the back of the room is Howard Cosell.
Hello again, everyone. It's good to have you with us for this event.
Well, Upton Bell, you've done it again. how dare you do something like this? I said to him, Howard, nobody gave a damn about this club. They played out in Randall's Island. It's New York. You don't leave New York to go to some swamp someplace else.
But that swamp was rife with potential investors like Arnold Palmer, one of the greatest and charismatic players in sports history. We
had a terrific meeting, and he said, I'm going to give you a gold Cadillac. He said, and it'll be, all advertised Arnold Palmer Cadillac. And he said, I will agree eventually to at least putting, at that time, $5,000 into it.
With one of Bell's chief investors aboard, media mogul Ted Turner then promised widespread coverage on his fledgling television network.
He was talking about what he could do with my team. And he said, I can take you and put you all over the South. And he said, we can take on the NFL. He said, we can do all of that.
The newly named Charlotte Hornets were born, but crushing outstanding debt lingered in New York City.
Smarts in New York owed a huge cleaning bill to this company worth like $30,000 or more, and they had sent a court order and a representative down to Shreveport to take the uniforms away. Now, this is the guy I'm supposedly going to be a partner with that I've got to pay off, and he can't pay his bill in New York or refuse to do it. So I said, look, as soon as the game's ended, is there a back way out? I said, get those uniforms on the bus and get them the hell out of there. So essentially, they tried to do that, except they were surrounded like Butch and Sundance. There was no way. They take the uniforms. We were the only team that was in second place, one of the top teams in the league, and were out of the playoffs because we couldn't afford to go to all the different sites, and we had to get the uniforms back. Never happened then, will never happen again. Imagine trying to explain that to the media. And the way I explained it is I said, the league's certainly having problems, and we would prefer to, you can imagine, I went into the Nixon playbook or one of them, and
putting the best face forward.
That's all we can do. So we're voted out of the playoffs by the league executive committee because of the uniforms and the ability to pay to get to the sites down the line.
The uniformless Hornets were not the only WFL team losing their shirts.
So we get a call in my lawyer's office, and it's a judge live from court. He said, I'm Judge so-and-so, and he said, this Florida Blazer team, he said, doesn't have enough money, and he said, they owe all sorts of money. And he said, I got all sorts of creditors, and they're here in court. And he said, the only way, Mr. Bell, they can make their game up to play you, now the game's sold out, he said, is for you to pay their way up and pay their paychecks.
You had to pay money for the opponent?
For the opponent. So I called back and I said, okay. I said, we'll do it. So here we go. I booked the flight for my opponent to fly to Charlotte, agreed to pay, maybe it was $1,000 on a player, and basically they beat us. So I got the trifecta. Pay their way up, pay the paycheck, and lose the game. Another story, Tales from the Crypt. I got this call, hi, this is Paul Sasso. He said, I'm in Memphis. I think I've got the answer. I've got a model of an underground stadium because it's so hot in Charlotte, and I think I can get the money, put the money up to help you save your team. So this guy flies to Charlotte. I meet with him, and now the story is beginning to come out. His real name is Paul Sassone. He somehow stole the plane, a jet plane, private plane in Memphis, flew up to see America's greatest sucker, yours truly, that he is actually in the witness protection program, that he's actually from New York, and was worried about, the mafia, whatever he knew about it. He was going to be killed, and was eventually tried to commit suicide off the Verrazano Bridge and talked off by the one and only still around today, Geraldo Rivera. What a scene, huh? This is my new investor. And years later, we find out that he is found in the trunk of a car, and people can't tell whether he either committed suicide or the mafia finally got him.
Suspicion also surrounded Hornet star receiver George Sauer Jr., primarily regarding the infamous 1974 kidnapping of Patty Hearst, granddaughter of newspaper magnate William Randolph Hearst. It was a kidnapping case that stunned the world.
This person, I think it was the FBI, said, we want to find out if Mr. Sauer is hiding Patty Hearst. I'm going, everything else is happening. Why not this too?
Why would they think he'd be hiding Patty Hearst? Well, I mean, what?
Well, because he was he in some ways, I won't say was involved, but George Sauer was one of those people that was kind of counterculture, but in a very quiet way.
By 1975, the WFL was drowning in debt. Something needed to be done, and fast.
1, 2, 3, hit! Go, go, go! No one else can soar like Broadway Joe!
An idea was hatched to lure aging NFL superstar quarterback Joe Namath of the New York Jets into the league to restore fiscal sanity.
1975, Namath was at the end, but we figured a name like this is something that really will grab the public and help save the league. We were going to put him in Chicago, right in the middle of the country, instead of New York, because at the time there's still no team in New York. And the whole deal was, too, which nobody knew, and I've never told it till this day, is that basically the agreement was among all of us that he'd never be tackled. That you rush the passer, and you could fake it like wrestling, like Vince McMahon. Oh my God, just missed him. That you would make the move, and then you would basically run by him, or the tackle would move you out and you run by him because of the knees, and you didn't want to lose your major attraction. We came this close to having him do it.
But Namath remained with the Jets, crippling the WFL, and resulting in the loss of the league's television deal, which rendered the WFL invisible. The end for Upton Bell would take place in October 1975 on the rain-soaked turf of Philadelphia's Franklin Field, where 16 years before, Upton's father, NFL Commissioner Bert Bell, collapsed and died watching an Eagles-Steelers game. It was an eerie homecoming.
So we're playing the Philadelphia Bell there. My mother, who hadn't gone to a game before my father died, years, I talked her into coming to the game. Typical of my luck. It's pouring rain. There's a strike on. The stadium is surrounded by unions that don't want to let anybody in but the players. And we play the game with not one person in attendance in a driving rain where you could hear on the artificial turf nothing but the squish, squish, squish of the cleats or of the shoes. Everybody in the press box. We lose the game. Everybody goes back in the plane. My mother goes home. She's dead within a month, has a heart attack. And that Monday, the league is shut down. And all I can think of is my father died there, and so did my team. The full circle. 2 deaths. One of a father, one of a son's team. Shakespearean. The ending.
My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
So what do I take out of it? It's a great experience. I'm not bitter about it, nothing. I loved every down and up minute of it. It's life. You've got to live it. No regrets.
And so, it'll stay tied.
Of course, Charlotte now has an NFL team, the Carolina Panthers of the NFC South. And the Hornets? Well, they're now an NBA team in the Eastern Conference. If anything else, Upton Bell, besides being a real-life version of Forrest Gump, was also an ardent visionary.
There are many activities taking place at Arlington High School, including some great hockey action.
We have all your Arlington High School action, so let's turn it over to Studio B.
Welcome to the Ponderscope, your Arlington High School news, updates, and more. Attention juniors. Arlington Community Ed is running a 6-week SAT review class in preparation for the May or June exams. Math review runs Tuesdays from 3 to 5 p.m. starting March 17th, and verbal review runs Thursdays from 7 to 9 p.m. starting March 12th. For those taking the June ACT, Ms. Bradley is holding a 2-hour ACT crash course on March 30th from 3 to 5:30. Register online at arlingtoncommunityed.org. Interested in traveling to Germany and Switzerland during April break of 2021? If so, come to one of 2 informational meetings with Mr. McGee in room 422, Thursday, March 5th after school, or Tuesday, March 10th during X Block. March 18th is the AHS Shop at Wilson Farms Day. 20% of pre-tax purchases amounts goes to support AHS if they show a specific flyer. The flyer to show is on the Daily Post. Make sure to head on down and support your school. I'm Chandler Betts, and this has been the Ponderscope. Now, throwing it over to Nick for the playoff update on the Sports Update. Nick?
Thanks, Chandler. Playoff hockey is heating up in Arlington, as the boys and girls varsity squads were both in action this past week. The boys battled St. John's Prep on Sunday, coming away with a huge 3-1 win.
Like it was Brendan Jones. Arlington with a dagger as the penalty was not releasable. And the Arlington boys are looking for a blowout. It's Brendan Jones with a shot from the point.
They head to Loring Arena in Framingham to play rival Pope Francis High School on Saturday the 7th at 5 p.m. with a ticket to the Super 8 Finals on the line. Sticking to the ice, the girls' varsity squad took on Needham on Monday in a tough bout, edging out the Rockets 2-0. Propelka now taking it through. Propelka with some speed, goes through, backhand, scores! Propelka with a beautiful backhand puts the Spy Potters up 1-0. Oh my God, beautiful play. Propelka flies through the neutral zone and puts the Spy Potters up 1-0. The girls punched their ticket to the quarterfinals with a win and will face Braintree this Saturday at 2 p.m. at the O'Brien Arena in Woburn as they look to continue their outstanding playoff run. Do you have any clips from the Spy Ponders games? Fan perspectives of the matches are priceless, and ACMi would love to see your view of the action. If you have any clips you would like to share with us, please email sports@acmi.tv and your clip may make it on air. That's it for this week's edition of the Sports Update. Tune in next week to see how our Spy Ponders have continued their quest to capture state championship golds. I'm Nick Antonakis. Back to you at Studio A.
Thanks as always, guys. And of course, stay with us for all your latest news and sports updates. That'll do it for us here at Studio A. I'm James Milan.
And I'm Katie Chang. Once again, congrats to Carla Dorado. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next week.